Hey bro, so in this video we're going to be analyzing one of my clients' text exchange with a girl. The first text is pretty simple. Usually the one I send is just, hey, it was cool meeting you, and then you can kind of ask something or say, oh, I hope you had a good night or whatever. So, and my client here does exactly that. It's like, oh, hey, how was your night? And it's pretty straightforward. So here, the initial part is, hey, energetic Lebanese girl. So that's like a callback humor. I guess sometimes it can be a little bit try hard, but you know, it depends on your call. Usually I don't go for the callback humor, but if you know a really good one, then obviously you could use it. And then she replies within about 2 hours. Pretty solid because it's a high investment. As you can see, she's also asked the question back, which usually says, okay, this girl is interested. It's when they just send you like a one quick, oh yes, you too, right? That means they weren't into it as much, right? Or sometimes it depends. Maybe she's playing hard to get or whatever. Yeah, and then he sends a video followed by another question. What do you normally do for fun in your spare time? Which is a question that you should actually ask in person and not when you're doing it over texting, because with texting it's mostly about just setting up logistics. You know, you don't want to be going into like deep rapport. Oh, so what was it like growing up in whatever, in Brazil, and going into these questions that you would do in person. Yeah, you can kind of say, oh, how was your day, something basic, you know, but you don't want to go too much into this texting, because problem is, when you do that, you become like a text buddy, and it becomes a situation where you guys are just texting each other, you know, for days, but you never meet. So that's why you want to avoid doing that. Her investment is actually pretty good here, because she sends my client four replies, which is great, and it says, how about you? Then this is actually the mistake I wanted to share with you. So here, he says robbing banks, hijacking cars, and planning world domination, which is pretty funny if said in person. But the problem is, if you say that on texting, because it's just a piece of writing, she can't tell if it's a joke or not, right? She might think, oh, this guy's weird. Like, why is he saying that kind of stuff? Because the non-verbal isn't there. And that's actually the most important part of communication. Whenever you share a joke, it's actually about the non-verbal, which is 90% of communication, that makes the joke funny, right? So this is actually a sticking point, which I've seen many times. A lot of guys try to make jokes, try to say something funny, something sarcastic over texting, and I used to do it a lot. Actually, this was one of my biggest mistakes. It was just, you know, saying jokes and stuff like that when the girl was ready to come out. The girl wanted to come and meet me, but I just had to be this, you know, this clown, and then just send her like a joke, right? And completely fuck up the whole interaction. So yeah, you don't want to send jokes because she might not be able to understand that joke, right? Because right now you might think, oh, this is the most funniest thing ever, and you're feeling really good, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, I want to say this joke, and then you say it, she's not in the same emotional state, so she doesn't understand it, and that's the problem. So that message is completely weirded out, and my client goes for the meet in the next message, but she just completely ghosts him, and I'm not surprised. You know, if you send a message that comes across as a little bit weird, even though, I mean, to me that's quite funny, but I can imagine a girl reading that, you know, thinking, all right, I met this guy for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, wherever, you know, wherever, in the street, in a bar, and then suddenly he's sending me, you know, something like that. It's not gonna be like sending it to your best friend that knows what kind of sense of humor you have, right? And that's the problem. So yeah, here it's finished, because with texting, one mistake is completely game over. And that's why you have to be really careful whenever you send a message. You gotta do it risk-free. Don't take too many risks on texting. You want to take the risk in person, right? You want to use your sense of humor, say something funny in person, and get her attracted to you. And once she's attracted, once she likes you, and then texting will become super easy. So I'll share some of my texts with you that are just straight to the point. It's like, hey, it was cool to meet you. She goes, cool to meet you too. And the next line, I'm just like, yeah, let's meet up for a coffee. She's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, tomorrow or whatever, Thursday, right? And it's just to the point because I've done all the hard work in person. So now texting becomes extremely easy, and that's the best way to do texting. So yeah, that's everything for this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we're going to be sharing a lot of these text screenshots. Also, if you have any text screenshots that you've made mistakes in, you can share it with me. Obviously, we'll cover up your name and whatever and all the private information, and we can share it with everyone so that people can actually learn from your mistakes. So yeah, signing out, Nav.